Food Nutrition 1, Objective 2.02, Understand Safe Food Handling Procedures, is what we're discussing today. How should food be handled to prevent foodborne illness is your essential question. So, safe food handling. When you sit down to a meal, how often do you wonder whether the food is safe or to eat or not? Most people take food safety for granted. They might not think about the contaminants, substances that make the food unfit for use. Certain chemicals and organisms in the environment are contaminants that pass into the food, making it unsafe for you to eat. Fortunately, many steps are taken at the restaurant to help you ensure that the food won't harm you. And you can take some steps at home when you cook yourself. When people have an upset stomach, they often blame a flu bug. Actually, they may have been poisoned by food. A fever, a headache, and digestive troubles are symptoms of foodborne illness, sickness caused by eating food that contains harmful substance. Foodborne illness strikes about 75 million Americans every year. Children, pregnant women, older adults, and chronically ill people are the most at risk. Most cases are mild and lasting just a day or two. However, more than 300,000 victims require hospitalization, and about 5,000 people die annually from complications caused by food poisoning. Most foodborne illness cases can be traced to microorganisms, though. Those are living creatures that are visible only through a microscope. Microorganisms include a single celled microorganism called bacteria. Thousands of bacteria types are naturally presented in the environment in the human body. Many are harmless. Some, like those that aid in food digestions, are essential for health. But other bacteria are most dangerous microorganisms in the food supply. They produce toxins, and toxins are poisons that can cause you to be ill. Some bacteria also produce spores. Spores are protected cells that develop into bacteria under the right condition. Those conditions include a combination of food, warmth, and moisture. So, if you had potato salad out at a picnic, most likely that bacteria in that potato salad can multiply very rapidly. Bacteria cannot travel far by themselves, though. They are carried by people, animals, insects, and other objects. Harmful bacteria may occur naturally in food when you buy it. However, most arrive through careless handling when food is prepared and served. Once established, bacteria reproduce at an amazing rate. It goes very fast. In just a few hours, one bacterium can multiply into thousands, yet the food may look and taste and smell completely safe to eat. It can fool you, catfished. A healthy human body can tolerate limited amounts of harmful bacteria. As their numbers multiply beyond a certain level, however, they create a health hazard. The preventive of foodborne illness is food safety. That's what we need to talk about today. Food safety. Food safety means keeping food safe to eat by following proper food handling and cooking practices. These include the following: you need to keep yourself clean and your kitchen clean. You don't need to cross contaminate any items, and we'll talk about that later. Cook food all the way through, so you have a thermometer. You put it in the thickest part of your meat and make sure it is to the internal temperature that you're trying to serve the food at. And you want to refrigerate your food right after you have um, finished your meal for the night, the dinner. You don't want that food to sit out on the countertop. A clean kitchen isn't only a point of pride for the cook. It is a starting point of sanitation. Sanitation is the prevention of all illness through cleanliness and of food safety as well. So you see people constantly cleaning down their countertops. They're trying to make sure their kitchen is clean. You can help that by having good personal hygiene as well. You probably don't think about preventing foodborne illness when you shower or wash your hair or wash your hands until you think about bacteria and its short trip from your body to the work surface and the utensils and the food. By practicing personal hygiene, you keep yourself clean to avoid transferring harmful bacteria when handling food. Because your hands come in contact with the food, keeping them clean is a single most effective way to prevent bacterial transfer. You want to make sure that you wash your hands at least 20 seconds all around your fingertips. You want to rub the soap in hot water all in between your fingers, around your hands, and probably sing the happy birthday song or ABC song. These are the definitions that you're going to have to know for this subject. So if you have some guided notes, you need to go ahead and copy down these definitions. You can press pause if you need to. There are multiple um, hazards in your food, or could be hazards in your food. You have to watch for them. The biological hazard is the bacteria, which is the most common biological hazard in food. Those things are fungi like mold and yeast and usual spoilage. You know, you have your bread on your countertop and there's mold around it. Some people probably just pick away from it, but it's not very safe for you to eat that. Viruses and parasites, and most organisms are harmful and need necessary precautions. Most foodborne illnesses are caused by pathogens, a form of biological contamination. But you also must be aware of the biological toxins that can make people sick. Biological toxins are made of pathogens, or they come from a plant or an animal. Seafood toxins, plant toxins, mushroom toxins can all cause foodborne illnesses. So you must understand what these toxins are and the illness they can cause. Most important, you must learn how to keep um, you and your family safe. There are some physical hazards. The physical hazards will be um, a rock, a bone, a shell, a feather, insects. In this picture here, I've shown that you can somebody might be trying to prepare your food and one of the band-aids may have came off. That would be an example of a physical contaminant. If you are eating fish and one of the bones was still left in there and you choked on it, that can be a physical um, hazard. If you broke a glass in the kitchen, that will be a physical hazard. If you wear long nails and one of them break off while you're trying to pick up a box of french fries from McDonald's or something like that, then that can be a physical hazard. Just trying to get organized over here. A chemical hazard is almost like pesticides. You know, they blow pesticides on the food that we eat. So when we do bring the food home, we need to make sure that we clean it off as much as possible. Have you ever seen your grandparents or your mother soaking the greens? They're trying to get all the pesticides off. They're trying to make sure that they're not feeding you pesticides. If you see in the picture, it says, "Is it's not safe to? If it's not safe to breathe, how is it safe to eat? It's not safe to eat. Um, if our cows and our animals are eating pesticides, it's in their system and it's coming to us. So we need to ensure that we are buying food from reputable sources and that they are following the USDA guidelines. Food can become contaminated when objects get into it. So we need to pay attention to that. Let me go into the textbook and see if there's anything about that. It says they have lead and copper and zinc. All of those can be toxic metals that can be chemical contaminants. And of course, I've already talked about physical, which would be the metal shavings from a can. So if you're opening up in a can and some of the droppings fall into your food, then that can be a physical contaminant. Biological ways that can cause you to get sick. The food. The food is sitting out for hours. That can cause you to be sick. The acid in the food can cause you to be sick. Not cooking it to the internal temperature or not putting the milk away, that can be a factor to grow bacteria. The oxygen, maybe you're in a high altitude. The moisture, you put the potatoes in the cabinet and wasn't supposed to be there. There's all types of ways of microorganisms growing, and so therefore you have to pay attention to that. And one way you can remember it is by the acronym of FAT-TOM. Now, when these organisms grow at a rapid rate, it is very hard on highly susceptible individuals. Those highly susceptible individuals are infants, elderly people, pregnant women, and people who have to be cared for that are going through some type of illness. Maybe they have a kidney problem or diabetes. They are highly susceptible individuals and they have to watch what they eat and make sure that their food is clean. That's the end of objective 2.02. A1, I'll finish with A2 tomorrow, which will be time and temperature control for safety.